stuff. Let's just jump right in. Tell us about your childhood in baseball, how you got started playing, um, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, since I was about 5, always was playing with friends growing up. I was never really played travel ball growing up. It was always for fun. Would just play in the summer, um, spring and summer, and be done with it. Started fall ball around 13, 14. Started travel ball at 16. I was always, pretty bad, for being honest. It was just I
Okay.
could throw strikes, and that was good for the kids I was playing against. Um, but 16 to 17 years old, had a nice little jump, was, you know, mid upper 80s, touching 90 a few times. Senior year, just 86, 88, 90 was enough to get drafted. And yeah, have 3 years under my belt in minor league baseball. And I had a decent year last year. Was
Yeah.
trying to continue that momentum into this year, but
Yeah. Eventually
yeah,
this year.
eventually.
Um, so yeah, so you said you weren't like one of the top guys when
Oh,
you were younger.
never.
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 So do you what part of that, why do you think that is? What were some of your limitations growing up?
Well, the main thing was coaching. I didn't really have any coaching. The guys who were my coaches, they were doing the best for me, but they didn't know what they're talking about. It was always about location. Didn't matter how hard you were throwing at
Uh,
all. Throw strikes and get outs. That's all it was. And mechanically, I mean, was a baby giraffe. Not the
yeah.
most athletic. Getting better, but yeah, just I never really played any other sports, so it was mainly
Okay.
baseball.
Okay.
And so yeah, I mean, wasn't that athletic. I wasn't trying to throw hard. I could throw strikes, I was good at that, but I wasn't being an athlete out there. And
Okay.
towards around 16, 17 is when, you get scouts behind college coaches. Uh, Adrenaline will make you throw a little bit harder.
Oh, for sure. For
Uh,
sure. So I mean, you're 6'7",
yep.
6'7". So when did you start hitting that growth spurt? Because I imagine that was pretty substantial for you, for getting looks, and then two, getting those velo gains.
Yeah. So definitely helped with the looks a lot more than the velo gains to start with. I know right around 7th grade was my big jump. I was
Okay.
always kind of late for most people. I was always right neck and neck with someone, always the tallest, but there were always a few kids near me. And then around 7th grade, just shot up. And that's, of course, when, hip problems, back problems, so then body,
Yeah, yeah,
got
yeah.
worse.
Some
And then
growing
went through
pains.
all that, yeah, growing pains, and didn't really know my body. But that it helped with the looks. And then eventually, the more and more, I mean, I can still get better, but the more and more I know my body, obviously, the bigger of an advantage that is for me.
Oh, sure, sure. So like, take us through that recruiting process. You start growing. You start
Mhm.
shooting up 7th, 8th grade. Take us through what recruiting was like for you. You say you didn't play travel ball till you were like 16.
16, yeah. And that
All
was,
right. So what drew you there?
it was just kind of, I think around 16, I still wasn't that great, or I wasn't, obviously, wasn't good at all, but I still kind of realized I wanted to do that in college if I could.
Yeah.
So I went to a travel team. I'd done a few showcases before that for college coaches, but I wasn't good enough to make a difference at all. I think I was just to get into it, but with the travel team, even when I was 16, I talked to a few, I think 3 college coaches after that year.
16. So you're you're a
Yeah,
junior there,
sophomore.
or summer going into junior year. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
hmm
Okay.
And I think I talked to 3 schools at the end
Okay.
of that, and I think I was topping 80, 83,
Okay.
84.
Okay.
And then junior year was, I just got lucky and had I think it was mid 80s around the high school season to start, and then had a guy at the radar gun in a video when I would hit 90 or 89.
89.
So then, yeah, immediately it was after that outing. Yeah, I went home, took a nap. I was so tired. Then woke up with like 5 voicemails, college coaches, and that was, made me a little anxious, a little stressful. But and then from there, it was just go to a showcase. Obviously, 6'5", 6'6". I was about 6'5", throwing 88. It's gonna catch attention consistently,
Yeah,
88. But yeah.
for sure. For
Mhm.
sure. Um, so then where were you committed? Where were you committed to out of high school? How did that process go? Um, yeah.
Yeah, so I was committed to St. John's in New York. Um, Committed right at the beginning of my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah, not too late, but a lot of the better kids already signed, have that done.
Sure.
So what that was my best option. Uh, I mean, I liked the coach, I liked the program, I liked the way it was going development wise. That was big
Yeah.
for me. Is I wanted a lot of heavy or focus on development, and that was the best option for me. That was easy decision.
Okay. So as you're going through, you commit early that fall of your senior year. When do you start realizing you're a draft prospect?
So I talked to an Orioles scout, uh, and talked to him the fall. It was before I committed, actually. Um,
Okay.
just wanted just a little talk, get to know me type of thing. Um, Went to Jupiter and played for perfect game tournament at Jupiter my senior year, the
Okay.
fall going into my senior year.
Yep.
Um, I mean, 6'7" with 90-mile-per-hour fastball. Every scout was there.
Yeah.
It's a big tournament, but I think I topped 89 that night. It was mostly scouts leaving. That's all I heard. The golf cart going in reverse. I'm just out on the mound playing baseball, and I hear the carts beeping and going back. So I think I got talked to a Royals scout after that. I got 2 or 3 questionnaires, but until the MSI Pro Day, didn't really have anything.
So how'd you do at the pro day? What was
Uh,
the feedback from that?
uh, so it was my second time off a mound. Wasn't even close to 100%. Thought I was going nice and easy, and was 86 to 88 in
Okay.
January. So, and it
Yeah.
nice and easy. So, yeah, that was
That's,
surprising.
that'll turn some heads.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going through your senior season of high school, right? How did that go? How did that set you up for ultimately getting drafted?
Not as well as I would have wanted it to.
Okay.
I mean, I always like saying I was good enough to the point where, okay, someone could take a shot on me as far as pro
Yeah.
team, but like, I threw a lot. I mean, it was just, I don't know, I didn't really have a plan out there. I was just chucking. Of
What
course,
was what was the stat line like? I mean, you're 6'6" in high school, throwing upper 80s. So
yeah. ERA, I know I don't remember at all. I know ERA
uh
wasn't high. Strikeouts were somewhat high, but there were a lot of walks, a lot of 3-2.
okay.
But
Okay.
just I would always yeah, I'd get pulled in the 4th or 5th inning because I'd hit
Okay.
150.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're going through your senior year. It's kind of for you.
Hmm.
Um, so then let's fast forward a little bit to June, to the draft. What were your thought process going in?
Thought process was, I mean, if it happened, I'd love to. Honestly, that just for me, that I didn't want to do college at that time, and the biggest decision for me, and when I had my big jump from 16 to 17 was because I played on that travel team, and
Hmm.
playing with that competition just elevates my game that much more. So I know I'm very competitive. So if I'm surrounded by when everyone around me is better, it's going to bring the best out of me. And I like the
Sure.
situation where you have to get better or you're done. That's where I thrive. And I knew that since 16, 17. So that was very attractive to me to just focus on this.
So would you say that was a big influence for you pursuing
Yeah,
pro
no,
ball right out of high school, or what was that? So after
Yeah.
you got drafted, what were the decisions that had to be made, or what was your thought process behind choosing the Orioles over St. John's?
So up until that, or up until the moment, I think I was decided pretty much on
Okay.
doing pro ball because it towards the final hours it was okay. I think it's gonna happen. You know, kind of start realizing, okay, this is a decent chance it's gonna happen. And again, every situation's different. Every kid's different. I'm not saying go one way or the other way, but for me, this was
Yeah.
the best decision for me and what fit me at that time. I'm still agree with the decision, but should everyone do that? Probably not. Depends on the person, depends on what they want. But for me, it was an easy decision.
Cool. Cool. All right. So you get drafted, you report. What was that first season like?
Awful. So I had a stress fracture in my back that I didn't really know about. Obviously,
Okay.
back it hurt, but there's that, and then I was so timid, just mentally out of it. I knew that everyone around me was better. I know that I pretty much went into it my first outing as the worst hitter on that team is better than the best hitter I've probably ever faced. So completely mentally
Yeah.
psyched myself out. Was in a lot of pain. So just miserable. Not a good experience, but definitely a good learning experience. It was at the lowest I could ever go, pretty much.
And that was June. That was 2017. You got drafted, right? Or
That's
26.
correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was that first season like after you get past that first outing? Let's say what was the learning curve there
So
that first year?
so I remember finished the first outing. I got the first guy out, and then ended up giving up 3 runs, not
Okay.
recording another out. And everyone
Okay.
told me, "Hey, can't get any worse." And then it got worse. I think I did 4 runs and only got out one, or yeah, got one out the next outing. Had two decent outings before my last one, which was when my back just I couldn't move. So, but I'm glad it. Obviously, I wasn't very happy back then, but it was good to go through that. And it's just I'm a lot more grateful, I guess, for the opportunity and like to be healthy and to just get to do what I can do.
Yeah,
If,
for sure. So when did you so that 2017, 2018 would have been your first off season.
yeah,
You were at MSI at that time,
correct.
or
Mm-hmm.
when did you start? Was that your first go
So
around at MSI?
I had started. That was my first off season, pro off season. But
Yep.
still, a lot of that took time trying to get the back better. But so it wasn't really a full normal off season, but still got good work in.
Tell us about that adjustment from going from, you're playing fall ball, you're in high school, you're
Mhm.
going through all that normal routine of things to, all right, here you go, you're 18, go have some ownership and go like take control and be responsible. And how was that
Yeah,
adjustment that first year?
um, definitely. It is a lot of. I guess it's on you that responsibility. Some people go home in the off season, don't do anything. That's on them. Um, as far as doing that, obviously, it was nice to have Rob and Maple Zone. I mean, it made it really easy for me. It was up before that. Working out, I had just gotten into, and I didn't know what I was doing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, which I mean, that's a lot of people. I feel like, but yeah, Rob made it easy for me,
There you
and
go.
definitely love the responsibility.
Rabina's the
Keeps you
goat.
in check.
All right, so let's fast forward. So you go through that first off season, getting stronger, getting the back in shape, and then you go back for your first full season. What was that first spring training like?
That spring training was amazing.
Okay.
Showed up, hitting 94. My first was 92, 94 first outing. I think I
Okay.
struck 3 kids out on 11 pitches. That was my first outing. Kind of performance slightly went downhill, but it was still a jump up that spring training. And then from there is shoulder. Slow decline for about 2 months, and then had a small shoulder injury.
Tell
And
us about, so what was up with the shoulder, and then how did that impact your performance on the field?
so it was just got very tight over time, and then felt a little pinch. Rehabbed, went away, but as far as I guess everything's a learning experience, and having that. I mean, that was my first true spring training and extended spring training. This was my first full pro year, and it was definitely a learning experience of what I have to do to keep my body healthy, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more than anyone would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that first pro season is a major wake up call, especially for someone drafted out of high school.
Mm.
So you go through that year. So you're kind of up and down with the shoulder. How did that year finish out for you?
12 in the third innings,
Okay.
and I had one really bad outing. Besides that, it was fine.
Okay.
But well, nowhere. I mean, results were fine, but I wasn't. I had a fastball pretty much. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So first full year in the books, that would have been 2018. Now that 2018, 2019 offseason, tell us a little bit about that. What adjustments did you make after the first one?
After the first one, so the first one, I know I had a lot. It was still a decent amount of back tightness, so it wasn't the best situation. So I was able to get in and get a lot more work in. 2018 to 2019 offseason. Went into 2019 the strongest I'd ever been. But as far as the offseason, I mean, yeah, just more repetitions, but nothing really changed as far as throwing or anything like that.
What was your throwing like? Did you take a lot of time off?
Mm-hmm.
Were you one who just got after it right away?
Yes.
And then what was some of the things that the Orioles were given to you at that time?
Got it. So I was always growing up. I'd always take a bunch of time off, like 3 or 4 months. Again, that was just always what I was told. And then I think into my senior year of high school is when I started throwing a little bit more, but incorporated plyo care into throwing before throwing. So throwing volume was definitely a little bit higher. And as far as taking time off, I think I took 2 months from
Okay.
2017 to 2018, and 2018 to 2019 was about 2 months off, and then built into it.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So you get through that. How was that second season in pro ball? So yeah, that would have been 20. Yeah.
Again, it was
29. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good.
Cover the first two.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2019, we got a whole new coaching, or a whole new, I guess, I don't know what the word, system.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of bunch of guys from the
new
Astros.
GM.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we had some guys from the Astros come over and just completely changed everything development wise. So I went to spring training, did well, and then was just kind of learning all the new stuff that they wanted us to. You have different ways of going about things, and everyone does certain things well. So you try and figure that out, and then here's what you do well, here's what you don't do well, here's what we want you to be, and then you start incorporating, a plan of how to get there. So went to extended spring training until June, just to work on stuff. Ended up getting moved up to short season in June. Had 5 starts, got moved up to low A, and then had 9 more outings. So 44 innings.
Okay.
Like a point. I forget. It's a low ERA.
Solid ERA. Got out of extended. Got out of extended. Struck a bunch of people out.
Yeah.
Shoved. Yeah. Solid year.
Yeah. Still on a fastball.
Yeah, still on a fastball. What were some of the bigger changes for you going from the old regime to the new one?
every throw has a purpose. And I know that might seem very simple, but truly there shouldn't be a wasted throw. Like when I'm in season, and even obviously uh, we've all wasted throws or wasted reps and had that before. No one's perfect, but just realizing that you can always work on something. Every single throw can be a rep getting towards your ultimate goal, whatever that is. It's individualized for each person, but just how serious that is, that every single throw you make should have a purpose.
Talk about that a little bit more. So, in season, like what are some of the things that you're focused on a given rep, whether it's before an outing or in between outings?
Right. So again, it depends on the person and the situation they're in. I mean, from age to just their pitches and how they play. Uh, there's a lot of factors, but for me, would work on in between outings, delivery work, because people all know definitely need some of that. So I'd focus heavily on delivery work and then spins. So fastball, curveball, changeup, spins. Changeup was okay for short season. Kind of lost it at the end of the season. Uh, Curveball lost it at the end of the season. So I knew my fastball up in zone played really well and kind of just stuck to that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So you have a solid 2019 year. Let's talk about this offseason. What was your mindset at going in? You got back in September.
Happy, very.
Yeah.
It was a good feeling to get a good year under my belt after having 2 years and 15 innings combined. So it's definitely a sigh of relief. And then good in the fact that I knew what I had to get better at. And I know what I have to do to progress pretty much and how to do that. So it's a lot. I mean, I can go and execute. I don't have to, okay, well, what do I have to do to get better? No, I know what I have to do. So it's a lot easier planning stuff out with you and throwing programs and all that. And it's just simpler.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that, we all worked on this off season? And how do you think all that went? I know you started throwing, or I think beginning of November, end of October.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Obviously wanted to throw hard. That's one of the bigger things. Just getting in, building up, getting into something, building that intent, getting that back. Because that's something, again, that sounds stupid to say, but new to me. Just over the past few years, like really trying to let it eat. I think I can definitely get better at that. So still want to work on that. And then spins. Again, just I know what my fastball has to look like. Curveball, what I have to do to get a good curveball and get in there. But just working on kind of keep it simple, a little bit of delivery work, a little bit of spins, and then a lot of trying to throw hard, trying to let it eat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you did. You 94.9.
90,
not quite 90.
Against
not
the
quite
Keith,
95.
Right? I know.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
One
day you'll throw 95. Tell us. So you said you talked about a big thing this offseason was your grips and the shapes of your pitches.
Yeah.
What were some of the big things for your curveball? Because it came a long way this offseason.
It still has come a long way, even since leaving.
Yeah.
It was more how I tried to throw it before, and just it's hard to explain, but I wasn't just spinning it. I was focused on throwing it and not spinning it. So the more I try and spin it faster and harder, the better it is. I don't want to try and think about where it's going to go out of hand. I just spin it as hard as I can and let it happen. And then from there is when you can, at least for me, that's when I can start, okay, well, when I release it here, then, you can kind of look at the shape and determine where it goes and then start syncing that up with your fastball or whatever the plan is. But just really, for me, trying to spin it as hard as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about How about your changeup too? What are some tips that have worked for you?
Definitely a tricky one because I'll have a really good day and
Yeah.
then completely lose it all. But definitely understand what you're after.
Yeah.
What you want the pitch to do, I think, is the number one. Once you realize what you want the pitch to do, it's a lot easier to get there. They're
Uh-huh.
just being able to see it. And, oh yeah, that's it, and know what you felt during that throw and all that. But change up thing that helps me a lot is focus on the spin. Get
Yeah.
that down before you even try and put effort behind it. If you really, I mean, if you already have a decent pitch, don't listen to this. But if you just need to learn it, just focus on the spin first. Get that down, and then you want to be able to consistently repeat that because I can throw a hard changeup with the wrong spin, it doesn't do anything.
Right. And then it's a
Yeah,
BP fastball.
and then it's a two seam that
Yeah.
we'll have a very good two seam. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see how that works.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's great advice too. A lot of stuff early on when it's a change, especially a changeup, such a feel pitch
Mm-hmm.
that slowing it down and just feeling the spin off your fingers is something that can really play, especially rep to rep. You
I
got to
think
make
what you
a
just
small
said there,
change.
yeah, and
Yeah.
because when you feel it and you see it and you feel a good rep, like that's you know what you did or you know
Right.
that feeling. So if you can then start piecing those together, get 3 good changeups in a row, that's how you kind of build off of it. Or at least that's how I've done it. That's
Yeah.
helped me a lot.
Yeah. Um, let's see. So how was you left, right before everything got shut down? You only had a couple weeks in spring training, right? How was
Not
that?
even.
It was
I think
short.
we had 1 full week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
7 or 8 days, maybe 9, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Then another question. I think we'll start to wrap it up, but before we go, what advice would you give yourself as a 16-year-old? So let's go 5 years back.
That is a great question. Um, it's a really good question. Just trying to honestly try and be a little more athletic in what I'm doing. And what I mean by that is just I've learned to use my body a lot better, especially while pitching. Just be
Yeah.
athletic. I think that would help me a lot. Also, I mean, at 16, I wish I could go back to 14 and start training with Rob. That's the number one thing. That's what I would say. But yeah, just for me, it was being a little more athletic, but as in terms of just in general, I'd say that every rep counts is a pretty good one. I would
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, that definitely that helps everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Know
That's
what
a
you're
big,
working for.
yep. Yeah. That's a big thing, especially as you see guys get older. They
Mhm.
start to, the difference between pro guys having a catch versus uh, high school and youth
Oh, yeah,
guys, it's
big
night and day.
difference. Mhm.
Night and day. Um, all right. Stoff, I'll open it up to questions. Any of you guys, younger guys have questions? Um, Rob, you're still on. You got any questions for Stoff? Um,
So if I got one, talk about, I think, where were you mentally? I know you've obviously battled kind of lingering back injury pretty much, I think, an entire off season. Talk about just like, the mental side of kind of dealing with injuries and, how that's going to impact what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, injuries suck. There's no way around it. Especially when it's your job. When this is my job and I have an injury that's preventing me from doing my job, that's one of the worst feelings that you can have. But as far as how that changes my outlook now is prevention. It's all about prevention. If you can prevent an injury from happening, whether that's from strength, just being stronger or warming up before you're doing something, being ready to do what you're about to do. Kind of that's huge. That's most of it. If you can prevent an injury from happening, you don't need to deal with it. there's no problem.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I didn't follow up with that. What was that? What's that struggle like? When you had that shoulder injury or you had that back injury for a full off season. What the day-to-day changes that you have to make. What's that kind of doing to you mentally? How do you get through that?
So again, the first year I didn't do a great job. There were
Yeah.
definitely days where I just woke up, my back hurt, I was in pain. Why would I don't want to drive 40 minutes to go work out through pain. Like it just kind of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit different. But as far as like in season, when I hurt my shoulder, it sucks. There's no way around it, but you have to accept that it happened. This is what happened. You're either going to, going to rehab it and do better, not let it happen again, or you pout, let it get worse. And I don't know, what's the other alternative?
Yeah.
You just have to move past it mentally. It happened. It sucks, but move past it, get better. Don't let it happen again. It's kind of how I look at it, but
it's a great
can't let it
perspective.
affect you too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I got one more, talk about your, like maybe your expectations of like what you thought pro ball was and what it actually is. As like an 18-year-old, you got drafted, you signed. It's like, oh yeah, I thought it was this, but in reality, it was something else. Talk about that.
It's a good question too. I don't know. I thought that everyone would be 10 times better than me, and obviously at the lower levels, that's not true. At the higher levels, yeah, you have your top draft picks and all that, but to see that there's a lot of different types of players. Not everyone throws that hard. Obviously, you want to put yourself in the best situation, but there are different ways for different players to, do well at the game of baseball. And I think that was interesting to see. But also, I think this depends on different organizations. But mental side of pitching, I know the old regime really helped out, but physically wise, it was just kind of you do you. It wasn't a whole lot. It was more you got drafted, you're good enough to get here, kind of figure it out type of thing. But again, that's really depends on what org you get in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. I think that's it. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure interviewing you. Pleasure talking to you, catching up. Do this soon, and hopefully we'll play some baseball
Yeah.
soon.
All right, sounds good.